with guys at different areas in their career.
Absolutely. Ted-Jan Bloemen currently on top of the world right now in the long distance races, world record holder in the 5,000 and the 10,000. Graham Fish. He's a young skater, but he's had some amazing 5K and 10K races, particularly the 10K. It seems that the longer the races get, the faster he goes, the more competitive he is. So Graham Fish will be chasing that time standard. 13:12:46 is what he's looking for. In order to do that, he must average 31.6 seconds per lap.
Now Fish, his personal best is 13:22, pardon. So he has to take a good chunk off that personal best. How much does a pairing with arguably the best skater in the world in this distance do for a youngster like him who's chasing speeds he's never done before?
It's a great opportunity for a young skater like Graham Fish to race against skaters such as Ted-Jan Bloemen. You can learn a lot just from being paired with someone, and you can try to keep up with them, although I'd caution Graham Fish against doing that here. If he goes too fast at the beginning, he risks using up those energy tanks too early and paying for it in the end.
There's 2 laps gone. Just a quick look at their lap times. Bloemen 30.72, Fish 31.58.
So as mentioned, Graham Fish must average 31.6 seconds per lap, so currently right on pace. I have it on reliable information from his coach, Crispin Parkinson, that he is going for that time. He's not going to leave anything out there. He's going to try and hold those lap times for as long as possible, and if he can't hang on, well, he'll pay for it at the end, but he has nothing to lose. He's chasing that team spot.
Nothing to regret. If you leave it all out there on the line, you can say you went for it. We're just a few laps in. Bloemen set the track record here back in October at the Fall Trials when he put up a 12:46.83. He does also have the world record, as we mentioned, but you and I were talking a little bit about the conditions for a world record, and tonight might not be the night for that.
Absolutely. There's a lot of factors that go into the speed of the ice. The ice technicians obviously do a lot of work to try and make the ice have maximal glide and while still having enough grip so that the skaters can get solid pushes, but there's other conditions that matter. The atmospheric conditions matter quite a bit. That's why one of the reasons why Calgary has among the fastest ice in the world, together with Salt Lake City, 2 cities both at altitude where the air is a little bit thinner. The resistance that these skaters face over the course of a race is a little bit less. They can cut through that wind a little bit faster. Now, not only does the altitude matter, but the atmospheric pressure matters as well. So you know that number that everyone always ignores when you look at the weather report. Well, speed skaters certainly keep an eye on it. Currently, the air pressure is climbing here in Calgary. It's at just over 101 kilopascals. That is average to high. So conditions aren't right for a world record, but Ted-Jan Bloemen will still go for an extremely fast time.
Take a look at that last lap. He's in the low 30s, 30.59. Fish 32.2. So obviously Fish not trying to chase down and keep up with Bloemen. He looks like he is trying to skate his own race.
Absolutely. Smart move from Fish. If you try and keep up with someone who's a little bit faster than you, often it ends in disaster. But Fish needs to bring these lap times down a little bit. It looks like he just did, into the 31s again.
31.88, 30.63 for Bloemen, as consistent as you can ask for. The gap between them is about 7 seconds right now.
We were talking about that world record. Ted-Jan Bloemen averaged 30.1 seconds per lap during his world record, so he's currently about half a second off that pace per lap. Nonetheless, it's still a world-class skate here for Ted-Jan Bloemen.
Just looking so smooth and effortless, but it's anything but as he crosses over 3,200 meters and finishing another lap. Still quite a long way to go, but at least right now, in my mind, looks quite comfortable.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things with Ted-Jan Bloemen. That's his biggest strength, is that from the beginning of the race to the end of the race, he looks almost the same. So consistent. And that's why where, you know, in a world where these high-level athletes are only fractions of a second apart, he consistently comes out on top.
Check out Fish's last lap time, 31.52, ticking down once again. So he may not be chasing after Ted-Jan Bloemen today. He's chasing after a time to get that standard, and he's ticking downwards and giving himself a chance.
Absolutely. He brought it back into the target pace. He let it drop a little bit for a couple laps into the 32s. You have to be careful over a distance like the 10,000 meter. There's 25 laps, and if your mind starts to stray, skaters will sometimes give up a few seconds throughout the race without even realizing it.
Bloemen coming around to complete another lap. He's almost at the halfway mark. He's 31 years old, originally out of Leiderdorp in the Netherlands, but the story goes that after the Sochi Olympics, he wanted a change of pace, contacted Bart Schouten, and thanks to that, having a father from New Brunswick, Bloemen gets that Canadian passport, comes here, really never looks back, and has just been a revelation at these distances.
Absolutely, and it's been a real boon to Canada's long track speed skating team as well, particularly over the long distances. Canada has never had a long distance skater as competitive as Ted-Jan Bloemen in the long history of the sport in this country. There have been long track speed skaters racing on the international stage for Canada since the 1800s, and never in that whole time has an athlete been as dominant as Ted-Jan Bloemen, and he has brought the rest of the team along with him. Athletes like Jordan Belchos and his pair here in this race, Graham Fish, have the opportunity to train with and model their skating after Ted-Jan.
Barely a change in his overall lap time, lap over lap. That one dips into the 30.68, but when you're changing just fractions of a second, it's a testament, I guess, to how consistent you are.
Absolutely, and that's the goal in these races, is to keep every stride the same. Ted-Jan Bloemen doing an excellent job of that so far. Meanwhile, off the screen, Graham Fish is putting together quite a good race as well. He's hovering in that high 31 mark, just off the pace he needs. So Fish will have to bring it down a little bit.
There's a 30.42 last lap time for Bloemen. Fish still going to come to the line, 31.85, so he's ticked that little bit downward again.
That's what Graham Fish needs to do, and not all is lost for Graham Fish yet in this race. He needs to average 31.6 seconds a lap, but the 10,000 meter is such a long distance. Skaters will often find a second wind about halfway through, and for a span of 4 to 5 laps can sometimes really pick it up and drop those lap times.
How much you see the coaches showing the lap boards. If there's a point where they have to say Fish, you got to pick it up. He'll see that lap board, how aware of it will be, and how difficult will it be to sort of contact the engine and say, I got to go faster when you have a couple kilometers still to go.
He'll have made a plan with his coach, and he'll know the target lap time. And so if he's sitting just above that time, his coach will be yelling at him, bring it down and bring it down. Sometimes there is a physical limit. And these skaters, while they race these races, they learn to feel their bodies and to know where that limit is. And in a long distance race like this, which is so aerobically based, the skater's red line, sometimes you don't recover from that. So they basically hover just above it.
Check that out. Back into the 30.3s. Bloemen going faster with every lap, it seems now.
He's negative splitting. This might be a deliberate strategy for him in this race. Start a little bit slower and then start to bring it down. We'll see if he's going to try and carry this through the rest of the race.
Bloemen coming around to complete another lap. This is actually Graham double checking. It is Bloemen, pardon me. That lap time 30.32. It's essentially cut and paste lap over lap. The only thing changing is what lane he's in.
So amazing. Ted-Jan Bloemen looking so smooth down that backstretch. He is an expert at that weight transfer motion that speed skaters rely on in order to skate efficiently. If you watch as he pushes, the second his foot hits the ground, it's already beginning a push, but his entire body is transferring his weight from side to side.
Dips back into the 30.49. Fish back into the 32s. He's 32.21 now. Bloemen catching up to Fish to lap him just about. Still a ways to go. We'll see if that happens. But Bloemen, I'm sure not worried at all about that. He's on his own race right now.
Absolutely. But Ted-Jan Bloemen being able to see Graham Fish ahead of him in this race will be a little mental boost. It's always helpful to chase someone or something.
Fish still just 19 years old, and you peak, as you've told me, in the later years in this race. So Fish, obviously, one eye on the future, but he wants his future to be today. He's still got some work to do to get his times down on the lap.
Absolutely. The race is starting to get to the point where that time is near impossible for him to reach unless he really gets going these next few laps, and he's dropped a little bit of time. He's still on a great race, though. Graham Fish, give him credit. He went for it right at the beginning.
Now things are really getting interesting as Ted-Jan Bloemen chasing down Graham Fish to lap them. You see the pain etched into Fish's face, and Bloemen now not far behind.
At this point, these skaters will be quite out of it. Their body and the pain will start to take over their minds. Famously, Sven Kramer at the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver made a crucial mistake with 3 laps to go, forgetting to change lanes. That's precisely because at this point of the race, everything is screaming. You can't think of anything except one stride after the next.
Fish opts to see Bloemen through, safely through both of them.
And look at that, Ted-Jan Bloemen bringing the lap time down. That was a sub 30 second. Let's see if he can bring it down again.
Look at that, 28.83. Bloemen going faster with 2 laps to go.
What a finish. Ted-Jan Bloemen bringing it down. This is good practice for him, because in a situation where he's in a race-off for an Olympic medal in a final pair, being able to accelerate in the last few laps could make all the difference.
There is the bell. 1 lap to go. Bloemen crosses 12:14.13, 28.7 that lap. Fastest time is 12:46.83.
Graham Fish coming through 33.0. So Fish on an extremely consistent race, just letting go of those times in the last few laps.
Wondering if Mr. Kramer is watching somewhere in the Netherlands. Watch this. Ted-Jan Bloemen coming to the line. Will check his 10,000 meter time. He crosses 12:43.04.
What a race. Only 2 seconds off the old world record. That is one of the fastest. That is one of the fastest 10,000 meter races ever skated.
Happiness on his face. That is the fastest time in the world this year. The previous one, Ted-Jan Bloemen said it himself, 12:46.83. He beat it by over 3 seconds.
Amazing skate there from Ted-Jan Bloemen. His last 3 laps were all in the 28-second range. That's almost unheard of in the 10,000 meter.
And Fish coming up to finish. He crosses